Hello everyone. In this video I will talk about why TypeScript should not be used and why JavaScript should be used every time instead. I was conflicted about recording this, but since there is so much push for TypeScript all over the internet by Microsoft and other third parties, and I strongly disagree with it. I think I have to, even though my opinion is an unpopular opinion, I have to express it. I have to put it out there so that I'm contributing to the fact that there is no universal agreement. TypeScript isn't the right way to go. In fact, TypeScript is, in my opinion, a kind of a cancer on the ecosystem of JavaScript. And if I keep silent, that's not helping anybody. So I have to put my opinion out there and accept the controversy that may follow. So one of the reasons TypeScript is, and we're gonna go over an example here, just to explain why I explain my opinion. TypeScript is a different language from JavaScript. It still has to be compiled. You can't run it in a browser. So by putting effort into TypeScript, effort is taken out of JavaScript. Now JavaScript has Babel and compilers and ASM, and it is a live language that is moving forward in development. Not always in the right way, in my opinion. It could be kept simple and not add things that you don't need to it. But JavaScript is a valid language that is developing and changing. TypeScript is a completely different language. So introducing TypeScript fragments the ecosystem, takes resources away from the development of a live, free and open language. TypeScript is a Microsoft product, so you have to be very careful if you agree to allow Microsoft products into your stack. Microsoft does what's good for Microsoft, not for you in particular. So if you're an independent developer, you're gonna be at risk. Microsoft is a huge company, so they want to put barriers to entry and to lock competition out of development. One of the things that TypeScript does is raise the barrier to entry, make the ecosystem more and more complex, unnecessarily complex, for no good reason. Which brings me to another point. It's difficult to argue, in my position, it's difficult to argue against something. People say, oh, TypeScript gives you something. And it's a difficult argument to say, well, it gives us, but we don't want it. We don't want strong typing. People think that if something is given to you, it's good. And the argument that when something is given to you for free is not good is a harder argument to make. Well, I'm recording this video in 2024, so actually we have an example of something that was given, mandated in fact, to everyone for free, and it was not good. Okay, and so here is a clear example of when something is given to you and people, and with the argument that it's good. No, it's not. We don't want it. We want things simpler. We don't want to move in this direction. And so forth. So the argument, people, I'm gonna now open web page. We're gonna just talk briefly about this example. React select, I use it in one of my projects. And there is no choice to turn off TypeScript in this thing. When I'm reading this page, it gives me TypeScript that I didn't ask for. I don't use TypeScript in the project where React select is being used because it's a JavaScript project. TypeScript still has to disappear before a library, even a library that's written in TypeScript, is used, which gives you a hint that the TypeScript can disappear completely. Nobody will really miss it. So JavaScript is not a pretty language, not necessarily. It's a very simple language, but it's not very pretty. Now, the introduction of JSX, which is a Facebook technology, it's not an independent technology. JSX, which is this here angle bracket that allows rendering of HTML elements from JavaScript, is a Facebook technology. But let's skip that. I generally like React, by the way. And so this angle bracket is already here. It already means something. It means HTML element, more or less. And so when TypeScript introduces it again, that leads to all sorts of confusion. Furthermore, TypeScript introduces another meaning to an already existing symbol that already has a meaning. Column in JavaScript means it's a separator between the key and the value in a hash. But TypeScript adds one more meaning to this symbol, to the column. And now, if you look at two values separated by a column, you don't know what it means. It's annoying, and I think that makes the TypeScript language extremely ugly. JavaScript was not a pretty language to begin with. It's, but TypeScript is so much worse because symbols that have already have meaning are given more meaning, and that is ambiguous, confusing, and unpleasant. Specifically, angle brackets and columns. So what's up with read-only? What does that mean? Because if you look at JavaScript, there is a thing called const, stands for constant. JavaScript already has a concept of an unchangeable value. It's called const. So why on earth does TypeScript add another one, read-only? What's the difference? And then you look at the documentation, and it says, or this is not documentation, this is somebody's opinion here. It says, oh, read-only applies to class properties. Oh, so now I have to worry about classes. Here's a couple examples. Here's a read-only in a class. But then you look at things, and I don't see class definitions here. Where is a class where it says read-only here? It's not a class property. So now it's even more confusing and honestly just unnecessary. Or when you look at JavaScript is already bad enough with the truth falsity, where 0 is false and empty string is false, but TypeScript has the void type. So I would say TypeScript ain't fixing the errors of the wrongfulness of how truth falsity is implemented in JavaScript, because TypeScript pretends, even though it's a different language, it pretends to be JavaScript, so it has to inherit the faults of JavaScript without fixing them. Otherwise, TypeScript cannot be compatible. And it makes things worse. Now there is one more type, void. What's the difference between void and null. But now I have to worry about one more thing. Is null false or true? Null is an object. Oh, so okay, so is an object false? None of that makes sense, and TypeScript is not helping. It's making things worse. And then you say, oh well, all this typing increases clarity. And now we see, in real world, we see const on change gives you whatever on change value that accepts two arguments, color option and true. And you tell me what true means here. What does it mean? I don't know what true means. And now I don't see how TypeScript is improving anything here when people write things like true, and a casual reader still doesn't know what it means. Typing didn't help here, it just gets in the way. So between removing resources, deallocating resources from JavaScript, between fragmenting the ecosystem between two languages, and one of them is just a pretense. TypeScript pretends to be JavaScript, but it's and making the syntax so much uglier with layers and layers of various meaning represented by the same representation. That's not a good way to structure things. And the utter lack of value, TypeScript can disappear and nothing will really change. I just don't see. And it's making things more complicated. And so instead of having one engineer, let's say a small team, 3 engineers, now you have to have 1,000 engineers that spend most of the time arguing with each other or writing code to make sure that they themselves don't step on each other's feet. That's the advantage of TypeScript, to spend all of the time, development time of the team, making sure that they don't run into each other walking. It's like if you then just put everyone in a cast, every employee, both arms in a cast, because we don't want them to break their arms, God forbid. Why would you want anyone to break their arms? So just put them in a cast, everybody in a cast, both arms, and that's safer. That's safer, and just leave it like that forever. And that's what TypeScript looks like to me. It looks like the entire organization, the entire engineering department, voluntarily puts themselves in casts, arms and legs, and everybody walks on crutches because that's safer. It's a precaution. That's what strong typing looks like to me. Do not make mistakes. And yeah, so I absolutely don't. I think TypeScript is a counterproductive step. It's good for Microsoft, sure, but it should be reminded to engineers, especially independent developers, that yeah, if you're thinking of using TypeScript, don't. It's not worth it. It's a hassle. That's my 2 cents contributing to the conversation. I hope the viewer finds this insight educational and thought-provoking. Have a great rest of the day.